My name is Emily. Welcome to another video. We're gonna go drink my coffee and talk a little bit about balancing the 9 to 5 grind with the creative life. It's gonna be like a FaceTime style video. Let's go. Okay, so before we get into it, I just wanted to take a moment to show you some beautiful new pieces I got from Linjer. Honestly, this is kind of perfectly timed because I just started a brand new hybrid role about 2 months ago, and one of the things I was most nervous for was putting my best professional foot forward. If you didn't know, previously I worked completely remote for the last 5 years. So my work outfits was basically athleisure on a day I felt like dressing up and sweatpants on an average day. The vibes are different now. I ended up buying like a couple new pairs of dress pants to kind of tide me over. But one of the things that I really have never spent a ton of time exploring but have always kind of wanted to is jewelry, actually.
And that's why I'm so excited to tell you about Linjer. Linjer is a female-founded jewelry company that prioritizes affordability and sustainability without compromising on quality. Their products are made using recycled gold and silver and sourced from ethical suppliers.
I've gotten 4 pieces from them. So the first one I'll talk about is the Mika ring. This is gold vermeil. And I really liked it because it has a really delicate sort of simple pattern, but it's also a little thicker. I'm not super maximalist when it comes to my jewelry. I like stuff that's very simple, that has clean lines, and this ring definitely fits the bill. And then I also wanted something with a little bit of sparkle, because I do like a little bit of sparkle. It's previously been out of budget. This ring here, this is the Ilse ring. It is so beautiful. I'm wearing it with another ring that I already had. She brings so much drama and pizzazz. There's like 4 white topaz stones, and then it is again that gold vermeil.
Linjer's gold vermeil is made of high-quality sterling silver that has a super thick layer of gold plating for long-lasting color and shine.
When I was picking my pieces out, I wanted to err a little bit more on the budget-friendly side, just because that's something that I value. Affordability is very important to me. Both of these pieces were under $100 each. Not a bad deal. Rings were the priority. I've always wanted to be a ring girl. You all know if you follow along with my content, I love a typing b-roll shot. I also wanted to get some earrings. The first ones I'll show you I am currently wearing. They're these cute little drop Huggie hoops, are also gold vermeil. So I got the April Birthstone Huggies, and I'm not born in April. I'm a Leo, fun fact. But my boyfriend is a Taurus, born in April. We date long distance, so we don't get to see each other as much as we'd like.
We actually already have matching permanent bracelets, which is really sweet. So I thought adding another piece of jewelry that would make me think of him would make us feel like we're closer together even when we're far apart. My version of the Taylor Swift initial necklace is an April birthstone earring.
So beautiful. And then finally, also their packaging. Linjer, give yourselves a round of applause. This is stunning. These are the last pair of earrings that I got. They are kind of giving 80s secretary, but in like the best way ever. They're also called the Piper, which is funny because I just watched White Lotus, so all I can think when I read Piper is Piper now. These are them. They are beautiful. These are the items that I got. Thank you so much, Linjer, for sending me these. I so appreciate it. If you are watching this video and you're interested in upgrading your jewelry or just investing in some really high quality, sustainable pieces, that will be yours for years to come. I do actually have a code, so you can use the link in the description box down below and use my code Emily Thompson for a special offer at checkout. If you're in the market for some new jewelry, definitely check them out. So I got my coffee, and we're gonna have a little chat. We're gonna have a little one-on-one. So this isn't gonna be like a super structured, formal video. It's gonna be more like conversational style, stream of consciousness. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. It's largely informed by my own experience, and if that doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. I just wanted to share my perspective, I guess, on how this has gone, because I've been working on my novel and working full-time for about a full year now, which is really exciting. Project Stargazer actually just turned a year old, which is crazy to even think about. I have some thoughts on that. I was going to share it on the actual birthday, and then I realized I had a couple more things I wanted to do. So thoughts on that incoming. But I thought after a year of balancing these two things, it might be fun to just kind of sit down and talk about some of the challenges that I've encountered. So if you care about that, this might be a good video for you to watch. And if not, you can click away and I won't be offended. So if you didn't know, I'm currently, let's say, like about halfway through the drafting process for draft 1 of Project Stargazer, which is my celestial second world portal fantasy novel. I pitch it different every time. Don't worry, I know that. One of these days, I'm gonna come up with the most brilliant elevator pitch. It's just not today. I'm about halfway done my first draft, about 60,000 words, give or take. and I'm hoping that this book will end up being about 100,000 words, but I definitely have a tendency to overwrite and to overthink each of the steps. So I started working on this novel about a year ago, which is really exciting. Almost a year to the day. I started it on April the 12th. I'm filming this on April 18th. It has been a real labor of love. A lot of ups and downs for sure, but one of the things that I think has stayed pretty consistent throughout the process is me having a hard time with it, which sounds bad, but bear with me. In my day job, I do a little bit of copywriting. I also do marketing. It runs the gamut. Technically, I write professionally, but writing a novel has been very different from any of the writing work that I've done in my 9-to-5 job because I don't have the benefit of a deadline in the same way. So I'm used to working on really quick turn deliverable, and the novel is requiring me to really sit with my story, sit with my prose, and giving me a lot of a license, I guess, to explore and think on it, but almost to a negative effect. So in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like working a 9-to-5 and also pursuing my dream of becoming a published author, a traditionally published author as well. If you didn't know, that's the goal, that's the plan, that is what we are working towards. So I think one of the obvious things to take into consideration if you are deciding to start writing creatively and balancing a full-time job is that you just don't have a lot of time. You have time, just not as much. I used to be somebody who thought that there was no way that I had enough hours in the day to be able to pursue my craft while balancing all of the demands of a day-to-day life. Obviously, I work 9-to-5. I also am in a long-distance relationship. My partner Simon and I have been together for almost 5 years, which is wild again to think about. And I also obviously have all of the day-to-day responsibilities of like cleaning my house, doing groceries, taking care of myself, trying to exercise, like all of the things that like take tons of time and that are really difficult to balance if you don't have a plan. I say this as somebody without a plan, so I do struggle to balance those things. So I just didn't think that there was going to be any time for me to actually sit down, try to pursue my passions, and have anything come of it. Obviously, that's not the case because a year in, I now have 60,000 words to show for it, a YouTube channel where I've been documenting my journey, and it's allowed me to connect with like-minded writers here on AuthorTube in a way that honestly exceeds my wildest dreams. None of this would have happened if I didn't try to do something badly, and I honestly think, for myself at least, starting was the hardest part. Starting was the hardest part. I remember getting the idea for the novel because of a dream that I had, which is so funny. I always think of that meme. I'll see if I can find it, but like this is the meme I'm talking about because truly that is where this story idea originated from. It's obviously grown since then. I saw like one snippet of a scene that ended up being the inciting incident in my current work. But I started with that idea. I was jokingly telling my sister about it and a couple of coworkers at my old job, and every single person was like, I think you should write that. I think that sounds really cool. I think that sounds interesting. I would love for you to write that because I'd love to read it. So I started working on the novel. I got, I think like 2,000 or 3,000 words into it before I was really, you know, letting it have legs. I was just like, maybe I'll just try my hand at writing a chapter, see where it gets me, and we'll just kind of go from there. And in a desperate attempt to connect with other writers, I put up an Instagram story on like my personal Instagram, asking if anybody would be interested in joining a writing group or like starting a writing group. And a couple friends reached out, so we connected, we did some meetings and chatted a little bit. It's actually how I connected with my friend Jamie, who I write with pretty much weekly, and I had discovered AuthorTube a little while before this. So like early 2024, let's say, like January, February, I found Becca's channel and Mick's channel. I'll link them all both in the description down below as well. But I started watching their videos and I just really felt called to continue my writing journey. I think the combination of factors of like people in my real life telling me to explore this idea, seeing other people documenting their journeys, getting back into writing while also balancing full-time jobs who are like around my age and in similar situations to me, and then also dipping my toe back in and making my stakes really, really low. Like it doesn't matter if you can start it, and if you never ever do anything with it, like nobody will care, it's fine. And then that writers group connection piece. I think all those 4 things are like the secret sauce behind me actually deciding to pursue this again, because I've wanted to write since I was a little kid. And I actually did write a full manuscript at the age of 13. It's really bad, and before you ask, no, I will not be sharing it with the internet. But I did do it, and so it gave me the confidence that like, you know what, I finished something at least. once upon a time, long, long ago, I did finish something. So I kind of thought, like, let's just start. What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? And it kind of went on from there. It's really ebbed and flowed. The whole process has been pretty non-linear, I would say. I always describe myself as like a really chaotic writer. I went into it thinking I was a plotter. I think I'm more of a pantser who has aspirations of being a plotter. So I think I'm just gonna finish pantsing the rest of draft 1 and then reverse outline once that's finished, because I keep standing in my own way and it's causing problems. But anyway, that's not what this is about. This is not about my chaotic writing process. This is about balancing working a 9 to 5 with writing. So 3 things overall have helped me out the most with being consistent in my writing practice. The first thing is not having a daily word count goal. That just would not work for me. My days and my energy levels ebb and flow so much. Having any sort of like prescriptive writing target that I had to hit every single day would only demoralize me. So I did not do that. So I firmly believe that daily word counts are probably not effective, at least for me, in terms of actually making meaningful progress. Number 2, I let myself have breaks. Like I go days, I've gone weeks without writing a single word. And I think that's okay and that's normal, especially right now as I'm transitioning from my old role into my new role. I didn't take off any time in between, so it was truly like ending one era, beginning another. Being able to take breaks and knowing that my story is going to be there when I get back was so critical because it is. It truly is. And I know that for me, consistency is something that I really struggle with. So when it comes to consistency, I think it's more important that you continue to show up, and it's less important what you produce when you show up, if that makes sense. So sometimes just like sitting down, being like, I'm going to write, and writing 15 words and then closing your laptop and walking away is gonna do more for you than those days where, you know, you really don't wanna write and you just don't, or you sit down at your computer to write, you put all these expectations on yourself, you can't meet them, and you end up leaving the writing session feeling demoralized. That's not gonna help you do this long term. And finally, my advice for being consistent is to let your writing take lots of different forms. So when I say that I'm working on my novel, that I'm having a writing day, that doesn't always mean that I'm sitting at my computer adding words to my manuscript. Sometimes I'm sitting at my computer taking words away from my manuscript, if I'm being honest. But often that means scrolling through Pinterest, making my playlist, listening to my playlist on loop, hitting a roadblock with a scene I'm trying to write and going out and doing something else, whether that's going for a walk or running errands or taking a shower or seeing friends. Like, living a life, I think, has a hugely positive effect on your writing, because if you're not living in the world, it's really difficult to write it convincingly. And I know that that was a huge issue for me when I was working permanent remote. I noticed that my writing was not as inventive, not as creative. And now that I'm kind of out in the world more often, both because I have to be, it's part of my job, but also I've made more of an effort, I've noticed a huge shift. Overall though, I think when it comes to balancing your writing time, having standing writing dates with people is really good. That accountability piece does help. So I've done a bunch of FaceTime writing dates with Becca, with Amelia, with Sarah Jane, and you can make one. I highly recommend writing on live streams. That accountability piece is so huge. So when I was first sort of in the background on AuthorTube and not creating my own content, I was almost always lurking on the lives and using that body doubling accountability time to carve out, you know, an hour or 2 hours or however long the live was or however long I could make the live for to really work on writing stuff for my story. So here's some advice that I would give to anybody who is looking to dip their toe back into a creative life while also balancing the needs of their 9-to-5 job and other day-to-day life responsibilities. Number 1 is do not expect it to be perfect, because perfection does not exist, and consistency is always going to be a greater benefit to you than perfection. And sometimes consistency looks like consistently taking a break, which sounds counterintuitive, but for me, whenever I'm trying to really force it, I get the worst words. It's usually when I know myself well enough to take a step back, take a couple of days off from writing, and then revisit it with a fresh perspective, that I actually end up producing stuff that I'm proud of. So the number 1 thing is really just to take care of yourself, whatever that looks like, whatever shape that takes. The next piece of advice I'll give you is to surround yourself with a supportive community. Whether that's a community of writers or non-writers, whether that's, you know, here on AuthorTube or something similar, having people in your corner who understand and who are supportive of your dreams is going to be a huge help, a huge benefit. And finally, to just write. It sounds simple, it sounds maybe even reductive, but remember that like the work that you're producing, it doesn't have to be good, especially for the first draft. The first draft's only job is to exist. It can exist and be a warped, messy, incomplete thing, but it's still a thing. And you can work with that. You can find the story eventually. I always think about writing as carving a statue. So you're gonna take a big, huge block of marble and start to carve it out. You're gonna get closer and closer and closer each time you sit down to do it. Because if you look at a big piece of rock and you think, man, I want that to be a statue, but you don't actually do anything toward that goal, it's probably not going to be a statue. So little by little, chip away at it. You might be surprised by what you find. In summation, writing is hard. Writing with a 9-to-5 job, also very difficult because time is not always there. We don't always have the energy, we don't always have the time, and sometimes we don't even have the desire. So for me, the accountability piece has been huge. And if you need encouragement, let's hype each other up in the comments section down below, because we all do sometimes. That said, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I can finish my first draft by my birthday, which is in August. So follow along to see if I can make that happen. Finally, don't forget to check out Linjer. I left the link in my description down below. A reminder that you can use my code EmilyThompson for a special offer at checkout. If you made it this far, comment this emoji in the comment section down below and your best piece of writing advice. If you're not already subscribed, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, usually about writing, also probably a little bit chaotic like this one was. But for now, that's all she wrote. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.